fuel. Oh my!
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We sure appreciate you watching these different programs here with Ed. And Ed Smith is always generous to share his wisdom and time and answer all your questions. Thank you for your questions in the comments. Welcome back to Barry T's Garage. I'm Barry T, and I have got Ed Smith right here.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ed.
Good.
You're looking good. You're already busy this morning.
I got a few things to do, and I got a couple things done already.
That's fantastic. You are on it.
Working on my old 36 Ford.
That's right. What did you do to it just now? You did something.
We changed the rear end.
Okay.
A little bit on it, just a little bit. So made it so it ride better.
Okay.
And then that's the car I bought when I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that is so incredible, and it looks so amazing.
Yeah.
And if anybody wants to see it, Ed's 36 Ford we have a video all about that car. So very good. Okay, Ed. Well,
what we got today?
Got some great questions.
Okay.
We're going to kick it off with there's one of our buddies here says he thinks, and he'd like your opinion, the Mercury Edsel Lincoln or MEL engines were crazy underrated, mad underrated. He said they're a great engine. They just need a modern cam grind to get them to run better. What do you think?
What cubic inches is he talking about, I wonder?
Well, I think like the 430 is what comes to my mind.
That's what I'm talking. The Marauder motor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a strange motor.
Okay.
I don't know anything about it because we didn't see very many of them.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we've had some tore apart in the shop just the other day, and what were they? Remember, you had a video on
We had a 462 Lincoln.
Yeah, 462, kind of on the same family.
Yeah, and the 430, and I think didn't they make a 410?
I don't know anything about those motors.
You haven't done any cam work with those, really?
We never did anything with them because
they were just good engines, just like they were.
They're just there.
Yeah.
I never seen anybody take it out and just tear it apart and try to hot rod it and put it in a tea bucket or something like that. No.
Yeah. Huh.
No, so I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, and that whole series, because, Edsel is a giveaway. Edsel came out in 58 with some of those. That's from 58 to about 68, 69 is that whole
series of different stuff.
Yeah.
It was, totally different stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it.
Okay. Yeah. Jerry has a question about the Offy Dual Port intake. We talked about that once.
We talked about that a little bit.
He said, weren't there manifolds designed more for the old Holley 3-barrel carbs? Do you know anything about
Never thought about it. Huh. But the 3-barrel carburetor was just something you could get a lot of volume out of it, and maybe put 2 of those 3-barrel carburetors on a tunnel ram. And a big block Chevy or a big block, lots of cubic inches.
Okay.
And they worked good with a big block Chevy or big block Ford, 390 Ford, that 3-barrel, but it was economy because it ran on 2 barrels.
Okay.
Progressive. You ever opened up and it had that huge blade in the back, it was just 1 barrel. It was a whole blade. It tipped the whole blade over, and then you had a lot of volume.
Okay.
It was like a quadrajet a little bit, with the big barrels in the back, and the little ones in the front.
Uh-huh.
And you're talking about the Offy manifold or something like that?
Yeah, the Offy Dual Port.
Well, the dual port was actually a dual port. It had a secondary that was all by itself. And then the primers were real small, all the way down to the cylinder head.
Really? Okay.
So it didn't, I don't know. It's the cylinder head. They never did anything with the cylinder head. It was just the intake manifold.
Yeah. Huh.
So that would be very little difference, I think, as far as economy.
Do you know any tricks for a high RPM modification to those manifolds?
No, not really.
You didn't do that?
No.
Yeah.
We didn't see very many of them.
Okay.
They were a long time ago, and you don't see them now.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was a very good design because it didn't last, and they couldn't prove anything that it had a lot of advantage, so nobody bought it.
All right, the next question is from Kobe. He says, I just rebuilt the Chevy 350, bored 60 over, because the engine was worn. He needed to take that. He put a stage 2 cam and rebuild kit. My compression is low. It's at 120 evenly on one side, and it's 125 evenly on the other side. Why would the compression be different on one side or the other?
I couldn't imagine.
Could the,
all 120 on one side and 125 on the other side. I couldn't imagine.
do you think one deck got shaved down a little more?
Got to be one deck is higher than the other deck.
Yeah.
A lot of times, people don't even look at that.
Yeah.
They don't measure that or anything unless they're particular about doing what they're doing. And most people just want to overhaul the motor and put it back together.
Yeah.
And find out if the deck height from the crankshaft up to the cylinder head, deck up to the head gasket, is the same length.
Mm-hmm.
And that motor, who knows how many times it's been overhauled and how many times they cut that deck where the head gasket goes and put the head down closer. In the same way, you don't know how many times the head's been milled.
True.
Because that all changes.
Yeah.
Wow, that'd be interesting to know, but usually you don't get anything that changes the head compression from one side to the other.
Yeah.
Except that.
Even though they're uneven, he's also sad that they're that low a compression. I think he's probably looking for...
Who knows what pistons he's got in it.
Or rings.
Or rings, yeah.
Or how it's honed, I guess.
Well, that's very little. It has nothing to do the whole way it's honed.
Okay.
You go back. That's when you start messing with honing.
Yeah.
Then you're into some high-performance motor.
Yeah.
That's putting out 550, 600 horsepower. Then you're worried about honing. Other than that, it's just a standard hone. He should have put maybe a flat top piston in it.
Yeah.
Because the 8.5 to 1 compression, it's only got 100 pounds, 105 pounds on original brand new 350 motor.
Okay. So maybe his expectation is too high.
If he puts a cam in, it's going to lessen that compression at idle or cranking. The bigger the camshaft, pretty soon, if you put a big camshaft in a 350 Chevy motor without the right pistons, camshaft, duration, compression, all that stuff to get 140, 150 pounds compression, it all has to be matching. If he gets anything different, it won't have any compression.
Okay, he has one last question about this.
Okay.
He says, do valve adjustments control compression at all?
Very little.
Okay.
The valve closes or it don't.
Okay.
And I don't think he has a solid lifter cam.
Yeah, he didn't mention it.
Yeah.
So
normally they don't have.
Yeah.
A solid lifter cam will definitely change the compression the way you adjust the solid lifter valves, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
The hydraulics, not normally.
Yeah, so we don't really know that, but
we don't
Kobe,
know that.
Those are questions now. We have questions for you.
Yeah, we don't know that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, all right.
Good question. That's a lot of different stuff going on there.
Yeah. Okay, Charles says, now ask Ed what happens if I put a 1970 429 Super Cobra Jet timing gear in my 460 truck.
That'd be good. The lower gear?
I guess.
Was it?
I don't know what
your
the
460 truck.
No, well,
429 gear.
Yeah,
that's the one you're supposed to have.
That's what you're supposed to do.
And now the dot will line up with the keyway.
Okay.
It's the same thing if you get a book and look at it, and you want a police 460 police car.
Yeah.
Camshaft, the lower gear, it will line up too. And that's what it does. That's what makes a 460 run so good or the 429.
Okay.
You line the camshaft up instead of being retarded a half a tooth.
So if he starts out, ask Ed what happens, but what he's really saying, he did that, and he put a really good Holley carb on it. He said, when I pulled out at 20 miles an hour and put the pedal down, my passenger's head nearly broke the back window in the truck.
Good for him.
So I guess he had a lot of fun. So you could see his reaction. So he's basically backing up your point.
Yeah, right.
You take that 460 and you really wake it up.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
and
good.
everybody should do that.
Everybody, no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question from Smith family says, could you please tell us how would I make a 434?
434 Chevy?
I guess.
Small block?
Yeah. You need an aftermarket block, don't you?
Yeah, it would be a dart block.
Okay.
And then put a crank in it. Yeah, that's you can just buy all the parts.
Just buy the right parts.
Yeah, we've made a couple of those.
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just a matter of doing the
Henry
math.
J. With my name on it.
Yeah.
I read Henry J. Missing Link had a 434 in it.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
With a 4-barrel.
Well, I guess if you make a 427 out of a small block, you're not that far from a
Not very far, no.
Yeah. Next one is from Keith Barron. He said, I wonder if there's an aircraft boneyard out there. Do you know anybody that did midnight parts runs to an airplane boneyard to get parts?
Well, you better not get caught because the guy's going to be mad if you take his airplane things off.
Yeah.
No, I do not know a boneyard. I know there is people that mess around with used airplane parts, but I do not know. Other than that military ones that used to be out here by Phoenix, we used to go get aluminum seats from there and aircraft lines and all kinds of, but they moved it to Tucson.
I see.
I don't know how they moved all those junk airplanes out there to Tucson, but they did.
Okay.
So it is in Tucson. And then the enemy can fly over that in this vast area and count how many of these planes are every year. And so they fly over ours and we fly over theirs and keep everybody in track.
I see.
It's not just a boneyard for fun.
I see.
It's a military agreement.
Now we're going to the bronze gear.
Distributor gear.
Distributor gear.
Yeah.
Okay, so A- is wanting to know, how often do you change them out? I'm sure it depends on application, but a mild hydraulic cam, can have a little bit of pressure on it when you're turning.
Really not the camshaft. That's got very little pressure on that. It's the oil pump.
Oh, that's what's doing
that brand's gear. The distributor runs the oil pump.
Yeah.
And we just had one a year ago that I built a dirt track car for a guy and a special motor, and it had to do this and had to do that. And it was a spec motor, not real expensive, but it was expensive. So he ran it almost a year.
Okay.
Then he brought it back to me, and it's still over here in a box.
Okay.
As far as I know, he still owns that.
Okay.
So what happened then, it was in a dirt track, and they changed the distributor, didn't tell me nothing about it. They changed the distributor and didn't spec the washers, that washer underneath the distributor.
Okay.
It should be sometimes you got to check the depth. Depends on how much the block's been decked, milled and stuff to get that. We put a distributor in it, without a doubt, tighten it down with maybe no washer or one washer under that distributor. That little.
Okay, so you measure for like a shim almost.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a shim. You can change that.
Yeah.
Actually, you can buy a distributor with a collar. It slides up and down the distributor and tighten it wherever you want it.
I see, right.
But this guy, I know that the kid changed the distributor or something, what he was doing, and tightened it down really tight. And that forced the oil pump, the distributor, down on the oil pump, and the oil pump out in the bottom of the pan.
Ooh.
So I made about 2 laps and broke the distributor off. Oil pump broke it off.
Wow.
And I think the kid made at least 10, 15 laps as many as he could, no oil pressure at all. He didn't know.
No, he didn't know, right.
And he didn't have a red light on it like we always had our car.
Sure.
Always put a red light because the driver is not, he's looking at everybody else. He's not worried about his oil pressure, wherever the gauge may be.
Right.
He made several laps on it and burnt every bearing, every rod bearing and main bearing to a black crisp.
Oh my gosh.
I have the bearing laying right here if you want to look at it.
Yeah, let's go look at it.
Let me just go get it. Just 2 seconds. Just
Yeah,
one
let's
second.
do it. Wow, that is terrible.
All the bearings, rod bearing, main bearings look like this.
No
So you had to go at least
I mean, it's like black tinfoil.
6 or 8 laps with no oil pressure whatsoever. But it didn't hurt the rings. It didn't hurt the pistons. It didn't hurt the block. Well, it warped the block.
Oh,
the
it
main
did warp.
bearings.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it just warped them. We can't line board or nothing.
Yeah, okay.
So we threw that right in the trash. But the cylinder heads or camshaft or timing chain gears, it didn't hurt them at all.
Wow.
You talk about brutality.
That's brutality. Wow.
So they returned the motor broken. But he didn't bring me the oil pump.
He was probably embarrassed.
He's embarrassed.
Yeah.
So anyways, I still have a thing to pick with him. But the kid, again, that's where it happened.
Yeah.
You have to be so careful. That bronze gear, again, it runs the oil pump. Back to that thing. That's the guy's question.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing that wears out, not the cam.
So if you had a street car with that setup,
yeah,
how often would you replace the gear?
You just replace it. You have to look at it.
Okay, you have to
Maybe never replace it.
Inspect it.
Yeah, it's not a serviceable. It's a serviceable item, but it would last. Who knows how long?
Would you check it every 20,000 miles?
Yeah, probably, or just when you're there, pull the distributor out and look at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just have a look.
That'd be the best advice. But really, you don't need to have that big old fat oil pump on there. And a lot of people just put it on there. It's got 80, 90 pounds of oil pressure.
Yeah.
If there's no need for it, why would you do that?
Right. Okay.
Okay,
so next one is from Daryl. He's one of our good regular contributors here. Hey, Ed and Barry, so if you put larger ratio rockers on a stock engine, would it be just like putting in a larger cam?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sure.
So forget changing out the cam and all that. Just put a better...
Yeah, we changed the rockers 1/6 on Chevy.
Okay.
We could play with it a little bit with us. He said stock cam.
Yeah.
I would think he had a stock pistons maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably has plenty of clearance on a stock piston to have the higher lift in the valve.
Okay.
The valve may not hit if he puts a 165 rocker.
Okay.
Yeah. And sometimes even Comp Cam had that little cheap roller cam.
Mm-hmm.
It said 1.5 on it. Truly, it said 25 horse. Because the stock Chevy lifter is really not 1.5.
Right. You said it's like 148 or something.
Yeah, 148 or something.
Yeah.
And Comp Cam, they sold millions of sets of those cast things with just a roller tip.
Okay.
But they said they were 1.5 exactly. And that was 30 horse at a certain RPMs.
Okay.
Now, it isn't right off the line.
Right.
Because the more you RPMs go, you get more horsepower.
Right. Yes, a better lift is going to affect your higher
And even
RPM.
our race cars, we put 1.6s on the exhaust because the exhaust was so small.
Yeah.
But some cars, some tracks, we put 1.6s and changed them.
Huh.
1.6s, 1.5s on the intake and exhaust. Depends on what size track it was, and whether we wanted to stay at the top of the track or go down the bottom.
So you pick your rockers based on the track.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and is it, okay, so you said 25 horsepower, pretty common maybe, maybe even more, I guess, sometimes.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It don't change the duration.
Right.
Very little, but change the lift.
Yes.
And lift is free.
Yeah. Fantastic. Good question. And this is also on the same topic. A different person writes in, and you already answered this, but they're asking, can you mix the ratios 1.7 on the exhaust and 1.6 on intake, for example?
Yeah, sure.
No problem. Yeah.
The rocker arms actually is an easy fix.
Yeah.
It's easy to take the Velcro off and change them. It's not like you have to take the head off and do all kinds of things, but that's an easy fix to do.
Yeah.
In a couple of minutes, you have all kinds of things changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a half an hour, you can have all kinds of stuff changed.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And probably not very expensive.
And it's just a matter of buying a set of rocker arms or buying whatever you want.
Yeah.
Other than that, starting to change, tearing the engine apart. No, it's a simple thing. So it's always a good thing to do with the rocker arms.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. But it's probably overlooked a lot.
Yeah, it is. I'm sure they did. Nobody thinks about that, but yeah, it's too bad. Even the Cadillacs sometimes, our 455 Cadillacs and the 500s, some of those had different rocker arms, and we changed those right there.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Pontiac ever did that or Fords. I'm trying to think of the Ford family that did much of the rocker arm ratio change. It not much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you're saying is certain engines are more adaptable than others?
Sometimes the factory changed them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've had these different boat engine combinations, and the cam is different because the RPM range is different between consumer boats, not race boats. If you want torque in the correct range to pull the boat and get it up on plane quickly. So I guess basically saying the cam can make the difference on a race boat or on a consumer boat.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's the whole life. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the whole life. You just want an RV cam. Just a little bit above stock, and then it would have low-end power.
Right.
And a boat, we're going to say V drive or jet drive.
Yeah.
One of my employees over here just bought a jet drive boat, 427. That's his first boat, and he's playing around with that a little bit, and we're kind of having some fun.
Uh-huh.
But they usually come off idle real quick, either one of them.
Okay.
It's not like a car that's stuck in gear. You either spin the wheels or you don't.
Yeah.
But the boats, you just, within 1 foot, the RPMs is up.
Yes.
And it's going higher. Yeah, so that's, again, compression and the camshaft is the whole life of the boat.
Yeah.
Boats are weird. Normally you don't do much as low-end power because it goes from idle to two or three thousand almost instantly.
Right. You're not trying to use much power at low RPM.
No. We had a 429. I think it was one of our boats was 420 years ago of a T-Bird. I think that was 11-to-1 compression. It had so much low-end power because we had a good tight jet boat too.
Uh-huh.
The jet, the guts in the boat, you can have the prop made different things where it's like a gear ratio on the rear end.
Yeah, the pitch of the propeller.
Yeah, the pitch of that rotor, yeah.
Yeah.
And the prop too. That the beginner skiing couldn't hang on the rope.
Just pull it right out.
Yeah,
Right.
pull it out of his hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had a little bit of trouble with that a little bit.
Okay. Interesting.
Careful. But other than that, everything else is fine.
Spitlip says, I love to learn from Ed's stories. Can you please ask him if he's had any experience with Kendig Predator carburetors?
So I haven't heard one of those carburetors in a long time.
So you didn't use them yourself in racing?
Yes, we did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. Kendig carburetors, yeah.
Okay. Do you have any racing memories connected?
Not really. It was an easy carburetor.
Okay.
It's kind of a vacuum carburetor. It had some valves on the top that it wouldn't open up until it was demand.
Oh.
So it was really smooth. You could run it wide open, and it wasn't a shock to the motor. The motor accepted the airflow as much as it needed.
Okay.
Yeah, so it just opened up whatever it needed. So it was a smooth application.
Okay.
It was good for automatic transmission.
Yeah, that
And drag racing. We're talking drag racing.
Sure, yeah. 2000 Free Fuel says, have you ever heard of anybody bothering to build a 6-bore carburetor?
I know they take some carburetors, 4 barrels, and cut them in 2,
Okay.
and make 2 barrels out of them.
Okay. You've done. Yeah.
Somebody does that. We're not in the manufacturing or.
No. Well, he's just wondering, I
people.
guess, if you've come across something crazy like that.
Yeah, something crazy like that. Because, like the 3.2s on a Ford,
Yeah.
302 had factory 3.2s, and also the 390, 427, and a Cobra. Mm-hmm. It looked like 3 Ford 2-barrel carburetors.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
What's the main ingredient for the Cackle?
Fuel. Oh my!
Is it compression and high octane? What's going on?
It's the nitromethane.
Yeah, it's the fuel itself.
It's the fuel itself, yeah. And those cars are only low compression. They're not high compression at all.
Uh-huh.
Then they put the supercharger on like this,
Yeah.
and that just blows air in it, and you can blow as much air in as you want and make the compression go as high as you want. And then you add nitromethane. The nitromethane is just dynamite. When it lights, it bangs.
Yeah.
And that's what cackles.
I
That's
see.
why they don't run very long.
Yeah.
So it's really hard on the motor.
Yeah, I imagine. I can't imagine the bearings, what they're going
Yeah,
through.
bearings, you still have to maintain that motor. You just can't play with it. You'll have it out. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Wasn't too long ago, the car blew up
Wow.
and hurt the guy. I think they had hurt his arm, cut his arm and stuff, and take him to the hospital, all kinds of things.
Yeah,
I think it blew half the motor apart.
I'll bet. Wow.
And that's, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Not
actually,
common, but it's not uncommon either.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Then, yeah. So the nitromethane, it
That's
just
why they don't rev it up.
okay.
Just sit there and run.
Just let it. Yeah.
Shut it off before it blows up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And that's why they had the straps over the blower.
Yes. Yeah. Keep everything on one pile.
One pile.
Basically, yeah.
Keep it easier to clean up. Okay.
Yeah.
The next question is from James. It's about how they invented antifreeze.
We used to use alcohol. We had alcohol in all of our cars.
Really?
Yeah, down at the dealership I worked at, alcohol barrels. It was all frosty all around the top of the barrel for the alcohol.
Oh.
You know, like it'd grow on there like mold.
Yeah.
And we had to have a different tester for alcohol than you did antifreeze. And now the antifreeze is so sad, they mix it half in water. They pre-mixed it for you. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
You don't want to mix your own antifreeze.
No.
And they sell you the stick half antifreeze and half water for the same price they did before when they sold you alcohol.
I know. John has a question about the torque converters, changing the subject a little bit.
Okay.
If all the elements of the torque converter, when they're locked up, could we lock up torque converter?
It says right in the book, no, you can't tow a trailer in fourth gear lockup. You got to pull it in third gear, any kind of towing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There's all kinds of things you can do to headers. It's not just buying a set of headers and put them on there and get the maximum horsepower of it.
What do you do to headers once you get
All
them?
kinds of things. You can put a thing up in the end of the collector. Sometimes they have the 4 tubes. They put a long spiral in there so they all don't hook together right away.
Oh, okay.
Again, we went over that, the length of the collector
Yep.
before it comes to the flange.
Yeah.
Unless he's talking about how big of the holes he's going to drill in the header, the top of the header, like Smokey Yunick did. They thought it was some kind of a secret, but all it was when he revved the engine up, he could look in that header tube and see the fire.
Right. It's a visual thing for him.
Visual thing. He could see all the fire in each tube.
Well, that's
all it
probably
was.
what we're talking about. So the hole just needs to be big enough that you can
see through it.
You can
yeah.
see enough to tell.
And there will be very little exhaust comes out of that hole.
Yeah.
Like an eighth or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's what it's for. And it was about maybe 1.5 inches from the engine.
What do you
if
think?
you rev an engine up and that fire goes down that header tube, probably at least 3 or 4 inches.
Yeah.
If you had it away from the header tube, maybe 1 inch or 1.5 inches, you just rev it up and look at all of them, make sure they're all firing.
So do you think, is a 1/4 inch hole too big?
What?
A 1/4 inch hole, maybe?
Oh, yeah, it's way too big.
Way too big. It's like 1/8 of an inch?
Yeah,
maybe?
1/8 probably, yeah.
1/8, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that'd be satisfied. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, there you go, Roger. I think we figured it out.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah. Okay, Charles is asking, does Ed know anything about the 1934, you were very young,
Okay.
1934 Packard 8, the Packard 320, that was the big one.
No, nothing.
You didn't have somebody
Sorry.
bring a big straight 8 to twin turbocharge and do all the things to it. Knowledge Power is saying, what does Ed think about the Buick 350 performance?
It's expensive.
It's
We
expensive.
can answer a little bit.
Okay.
It's expensive, and probably nobody ever did much with it because it was so expensive.
Okay.
It probably put out as much horsepower as you want to do. Change the camshaft and buy some pistons. Probably the pistons would be 3 times as much as a Chevy piston. Instead of $500, $1,500, maybe $2,000 for a set of pistons.
Wow, okay.
And the camshaft would be twice as much or 3 times as much as Chevy.
So it just becomes a practical question.
Yeah, right, practical. Costs you 3 times as much to do a Buick motor to get the same horsepower you'd get out of a Chevy.
But there's nothing about the Buick motor that's necessarily bad, I guess.
No, it's bad, not bad, no.
Yeah, it's just expensive to work
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, this is going to be our last question. It's a circle track engine question. Ask Ed, what's your recipe for the Chevy 311 circle track engine? Do you know anything about that? 311.
It must be a one bored out to 35 thousandths
Okay.
or something instead of 30
Yeah.
or something crazy bore and hone.
Yeah.
Or he might have done something with the crankshaft, offset the grind crankshaft to get 311 or I don't know how he did that, but
Yeah. I guess almost all these numbers are possible in some way.
you can do anything, yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes they carry it out to the nearest decimal point and come up with some wild number.
Okay.
And we would just call it a 350 or 366 or
Yeah.
whatever it is, because that's, something else.
And I know
But
some.
anyways, it's the same motor, 350 motor. I don't know if it's 311, so that would be the 301, 302,
Yeah.
maybe a 30 over, something. It would be make it a 310.
Yeah. Okay.
And
All right.
Depends how much carburation you put on it and what class you're in.
Yeah.
Probably got a class he has to be in.
Right.
So
and I guess
it's hard to answer that.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have the rest of the context.
Yeah, we need more information, yeah.
But
it's the same as a Chevy V8.
Yeah.
Whether it's going to run or not.
Yeah, that's good.
Good.
Well, Ed, thank you for taking the time to answer all these questions. It's really fun.
Good.
And thank you again for watching. If you stayed to the end, I wish I could give you a prize because we appreciate that. It's always good. And Ed, we'll see you on the next one.
Okay, good.
All right.
Okay, good. Have a good day.